The exciting thing now is that a lot of people get what's going on. We're seeing, for example, in the climate community, which used to be very standoffish to Greens and very much in this mode of let's kiss up to President Obama and see if we can get a bill passed, like to stop the Keystone Pipeline, let's see if we can get a concession, and let's muzzle ourselves about everything else. Let's not criticize him, so that we can get a concession. I think people have really hit the wall with that strategy, and we had an interview published in Grist magazine. If people are familiar with Grist, it's an online environmental magazine. It's sort of the go-to place for the climate and environmental community. Has never been green friendly. They published an interview with us about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the interview went off the charts with likes and with comments. It basically went viral. It has more comments than any other article I've seen on Grist. And where those comments used to be a few positives and then mostly, how dare you, get into this race, it was like turned 180. There were a couple of the usual naysayers, but about 90 to 95% of the comments were, it's about time, I'm voting green, I've had enough of this betrayal by Barack Obama. So that revolution that you're talking about is alive and well, it is happening. And it's not just, yeah, thank you. We were invited to headline a rally in New York last week. This was Occupy the Student Debt for 1T Day, where student debt hit $1 trillion. And I was invited to be one of the final speakers and sort of comment on the whole thing. And this is new for us as Greens. I've been running for office for a long time. We don't usually get invited to rallies, and if we get to speak, don't say anything about your party or the office you're running for. You can talk about the issue, but please don't connect the dots, in a way that people could actually do something about. So now it's like totally different, and this rally was another case in point. And I was invited to tell it like it is, which I did, to the effect that I referenced before about there being no daylight between what Obama and Romney are doing to continue the entrapment of an entire generation as indentured servants, and that we can break out of this, and that in fact we need to be erasing student debt. I wouldn't say forgiving because they didn't do anything wrong. We need to be ending student debt. If we bailed out the banks who caused the crash of the economy, it's time to bail out the students who are the victims of that waste, fraud, and abuse on Wall Street. So we're being invited to headline these rallies. I'm putting out what people are begging to hear, and we are being roundly applauded, and people are cheering when I'm saying you don't just have to vote with your feet in November, you can vote with your vote. and people are ready to do that. And I'll just mention one other, actually 2 others, just so you get a sense of how this revolution is happening, and we are the political voice of it. There ain't none other out there. So about a month ago in Denver, we were invited to keynote a 420 rally, a marijuana legalization rally. And a little bit before 420, I was introduced as the presidential candidate that everybody should vote for, that it's time to change your registration, enough of Ron Paul. So they're not only like saying it's about this election and what our presidential campaign can accomplish, and that there's really not squat difference between the Democrats and Republicans, but also that the Libertarians aren't going to do it. They're saying, Ron Paul is basically too close to the KKK. We need a social agenda as well as a marijuana agenda. And if you're thinking marijuana, it's time to think green. Marijuana is green. It's time to register in a Green Party. And this is what they're saying. It's like, I have to pinch myself. Am I dreaming? They are making the case for us, even in just the introduction. And this was a rally of 20,000 people. in Denver. So these are not like small things. One other, the women's movement, you know, with the National Organization for Women and NARAL. When Obama, you know, trashed Plan B, the morning after pill, which was a really critical step forward in reproductive rights for women and reproductive health care, making it accessible and affordable for everybody. You know, Obama said no. You know, it's the first time really that he overrode the FDA and 60 medical organizations that were recommending this. He said no, and the women's groups all kind of looked the other way, and they didn't really have much to say about it. When Obama cut a deal with the religious right and said, oh, okay, yeah, we appreciate that businessmen, their religion matters more than the health of workers. This was really about, this was a workers' rights issue, it was a health rights issue, and they tried to turn it into the power of your employer's religion. What about the religion of the people who are denied health care? They have religions too, and some of their religions say that you should plan your pregnancies and not have more children than you are able to take care of. So their religious rights, as well as their health care rights, are being violated by this concept. You know, this really conflation of, you know, that religion and healthcare and workers' rights, you know, they're all trumped by religion. You know, that's not the way it is. So the women's groups there too just kind of look the other way. It says, okay, you can surrender the principle. It doesn't matter. So at any rate, I was really surprised when we were invited to help headline a rally on a week ago in South Carolina at the Capitol. I was invited to come and headline a rally for Unite Women. This is Unite Women to Fight the War Against Women. And this is the beginnings, these are the rumblings within the women's movement of a whole new grassroots movement on behalf of women's health care, women's right to equal pay, women's right for contraceptive services and all that, and political representation and the rest. So what was really exciting was when they said to me after the rally, well, first of all, in the rally, they said, go ahead, tell it like it is. You're a candidate, talk like a candidate, which I did. And afterwards, you know, some of the organizers said, you know, we're a national network. We really get what you're about. We don't like what the other political parties are about. And we'll be working to help get word out about your campaign to women across the country and putting our organization behind it. So this is the kind of thing that we see happening right now. People are rising up in a way that we haven't seen in generations, and we are basically, you know, a movement that is alive and well across America. It deserves a voice in this election and a choice at the polls that's not already bought and paid for by Wall Street, because voting for any of them is a mandate for 4 more years of corporate rule, and that is the definition of throwing away your vote. You don't have to throw away your vote. In fact, it's worse than throwing away your vote. It's using your vote as a weapon against yourself. In fact, we can use our votes to advance the interests of people, peace, and the planet. So the foundation of our agenda is the Green New Deal for America. This is an emergency program to create 25 million jobs, end unemployment, transition to the green economy, jumpstart it actually now. We can get it going now and complete that transition within years. In fact, if we put our energy and our minds to it, and to, in the process, call a halt to climate change. The Green New Deal is inspired, obviously, by the New Deal that got us out of the Depression in the 1930s. So it's not like some academic idea. It works. We know how to do it, and it actually does the job. The Green New Deal we're talking about would put power in the hands of communities. It would be nationally funded, but it would be locally administered and controlled so that communities create the jobs they need to make themselves sustainable. not only ecologically, but socially and economically too. So it includes green jobs like clean manufacturing, local organic agriculture, public transportation, including active transportation like safe sidewalks and safe bike paths so we can bike to work, kids can walk and bike to school again, all those things that create the infrastructure for health. So we actually have a healthcare system, not a sick care system, which is what we have right now. It doesn't do the trick. In addition to healthy transportation, we also need obviously clean renewable energy and conservation, which would be a large component of the jobs in the Green New Deal. And we're also talking about jobs in the social sector that meet our social needs. 300,000 teachers, I think, have been laid off over the last couple of years. So we need to hire back the teachers, we need nurses, we need child care, after school, violence prevention, home care, senior care, etc., affordable housing construction, a whole spectrum of jobs that communities create in order to make themselves sustainable. And these include, they are, by the way, full-time, living wage, community-based jobs. So we're not talking about creating jobs for multinational corporations that take the money and run. We're talking about jobs in our communities that recirculate the money and make every dollar count for more because it basically increases our wealth and the wealth sticks around. And then we include in this not only public works and public services, like what we think of the traditional New Deal about, but also small businesses, so that we can use these public dollars to help jumpstart the small, local, green businesses that will be here for the long haul, meeting our needs. And also cooperatives, worker-owned cooperatives and community cooperatives, because we need to diversify this crony, disaster capitalist economy that it's become. So supporting the cooperative sector of the economy is a very important part of the solution. In addition, as I talked about, we would erase student debt and make public higher education free, tuition free, as it should be. Throughout, our past, we had funded education up through a high school degree because it was essential for economic security. Well, guess what? In the 21st century, a college degree is equally essential. And we know that it pays for itself many times over, like the GI Bill after the Second World War, where we put millions of soldiers through college. For every dollar invested, $7 was returned to the taxpayer in an improved economy and improved revenue from the Treasury. So this is a pays-for-itself program. Another pays-for-itself program is healthcare as a human right under Medicare for All system. And you probably know the deal that under Medicare for All, we save 30% of every healthcare dollar, which now goes into this massive, wasteful health insurance bureaucracy. That 30 cents on the dollar is then used to expand healthcare so that it includes all of you, not just part of you, but all of you, because our health comes as a package. What's that?
Dental and vision. Please.
Dental, vision, reproductive, ears, medication, that's another one that gets left out, and mental health, I must say, which is an epidemic and needs to be acknowledged as part of the health picture.